everybody. This is Audrey Moore with the Audrey Helps Actors podcast, and this is episode number 92. What are you gonna do with your career this year with this season 8 premiere episode? Hi, everybody. Yay! We're back. Oh, yay. Warm, cozy, fuzzy blanket feelings for being back. This season is going to be an outstanding season. My dedication, my focus, my point of view for this season is the space between the jobs. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about these times where people call them the dry spells, and how you manage your money and how you manage your mind and how you manage your spirit in between the jobs. And I thought, you know what? We got to do a season where we talk to a lot of people who've got years of career behind them and talk to them about the space between the jobs. We also have a lot of discussion about self-tape May. We love a good self-tape practice. Is there going to be a writer's strike? Probably. With that information, I hypothesize that Self-Tape May is going to be as good a food for your soul as it was in 2020. More on those details to come. It's also currently Market Research March. What does that mean, Audrey? Okay, well, I did a whole post on Instagram, but essentially you want to be spending March and April prepping for your Self-Tape May. Self-Tape May is 16 tapes to be accomplished in the month of May, 16 self-tapes. And a really fantastic thing to do is to be working on tapes for TV shows that are shooting in your area, in your market. You are much more likely to book jobs that are shooting in the area in which you are located. I'm going to be posting on Instagram some of the showrunners, some of the prolific showrunners for each market. If you just spent Self-Tape May and you did 4 tapes for one showrunner and 4 tapes for another showrunner and 4 tapes for another showrunner and 4 tapes for another showrunner, you would become so much more prepared in the creators and creatives who are really helping to run your town. And that will leave you so much more prepared and hopefully in love and hopefully bookable for the jobs that you want to be auditioning for. So that's a great thing to be focusing on. Who is shooting TV shows in your market? What shows are those? Market Research March. Also, if you are a person who was around in the strike for 2007, I want to hear from you. We are so deeply pro-supporting our union brethren, our union sisters, the WGA, the DGA, our own union, SAG-AFTRA. We are so in support of whatever the unions decide they need to do to negotiate a fair contract. And also, it will affect you. We have an episode next week. I'm going to be talking with the incomparable Elizabeth Ho, and we're going to be talking about our personal experiences of the writer's strike in 2007, how it affected our careers, how it affected our mental health, how it affected our pocketbooks. So if it affected you in 2007, and you have a story about maybe being moved while you were picketing with the WGA. I picketed and Liz Ho picketed. If you have a story about your auditions slowing down for a minute, but then coming back full swing after a certain amount of time, if you have a story about your day job and how it was affected, if you have a thought about something you learned or something you wish you had done differently during the time of the strike last time, and you want to talk to people, you want people to know about it, please call us 667-ACTOR-70. That's 667-228-6770. And let me know a little message, a little couple minute message about your experience of the 2007 writers' strike. We will air it, so I'd love to hear from you. Today we have Michael Kostroff. He's an actor best known for his 5 seasons, that's right, 5 seasons on The Wire. If that's not Jesse's favorite show of all time, I don't know what is. And for his recurring roles on a long list of popular television shows as an original cast member in The Producers on Broadway, we discuss the space between the jobs. How to manage the ups and downs, how to enjoy auditions, work-life balance, what is that? And this week's podcast is brought to you by Casting Networks. Go to castingnetworks.com/Audrey. I love this for you. I love this for you so much. Go to castingnetworks.com/Audrey and use promo code Audrey60. We're giving you even more money this year. Audrey60, AUDREY 60, for $60 off your premium annual membership. You have a Casting Networks profile anyway. You have one. So you might as well get $60 off on me. I love it when you take those $60 and go buy yourself something and take a picture and post it to Instagram and tag me because, listen, it warms my soul in a way I can't even describe to you how much I love it when you get $60 off of Casting Networks. All right, everyone. I hope you're on your way to an audition. Some of them are back in the room. Thanks, commercials. I'd like to shout out to that commercial live. I booked some. I also hope that you have a self-tape that you're going to crush. All right, everybody, book it.
Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors podcast, and today we have...
Michael Kostroff.
No matter what I do, nobody ever knows that. I'm always like, and...
I didn't know I had to fill in my own name. I'm glad I knew it.
So, Michael, I always start this podcast out by asking people kind of their landscape, how much they audition per year, how long have they been union? Are they union? How many reps do they have? What avenues do they tend to work in? Do they do voiceover, commercial, theater, film? So tell us your scoop. Give us your landscape.
Some of those are hard to answer. So I have a commercial agent, a theatrical agent, and a manager.
Wonderful.
I work mostly in episodic television and musical theater, which is a combination that I love because they're so different.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in all the unions. I don't remember how long I've been in all the unions. I don't really track how many auditions I do a year. Mm-hmm. I'm not the actor who measures stuff and keeps records. And, I to my shame, I don't even keep lists of like casting directors that I've read for. I just keep going.
You just see them on the street. And they're like, Michael. And you're like, hey, long time no see.
It's really bad when they recognize me and I don't recognize them, but that does happen. I'm getting close to the age where I can say it's just my age.
Well, I'm not, and so it's just embarrassing. Not yet.
So sorry.
So great. So in general, would you say you are a more or less pretty regular auditioner in your life these days?
Sure, yeah. I think this will surprise people. I probably average out to about one a week.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Which I think people think I audition a lot more or that I work all the time, which is an illusion. Mm-hmm. I work a lot and I have a really good career, but not all the time. And
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's really the theme of the season this year is the space between the jobs. My intention is to really normalize the actor's lifestyle. My general intention with this podcast is to normalize the actor's lifestyle, but specifically that the space between the jobs is also part of the job. And for people to start thinking of it less like you work and then you don't work, and more like music, that you have the notes and then you have the space between the notes. And both are what make up the music.
You're so talking my language right now. I always say you can't sign on for the life of an actor for only the days when you work because you're going to be miserable. So you have to really go, I'm taking the dive. I'm taking this whole lifestyle, this whole thing, which is mostly time between jobs. We have to normalize it, and we have to not think of it as failure every moment that we're not working. I'm really big on demythologizing some stuff. I mean, another one of those is the whole idea that an audition is pass-fail. Like if I don't book it, I must have done something wrong. Mm-hmm. That's not true at all. It's more like a menu. Like, they decided to have the tuna salad instead of the egg salad, and there's nothing wrong with the egg salad. We have this weird amnesia where we keep being surprised by show business being the way it is.
It's so true.
Right?
It's like, it doesn't matter how long you're in it. And that's one of the sad things for me is like, I remember meeting an actress who'd been doing commercials since like 1985.
Yeah.
And she said, like, when she was released from an avail on a commercial, that she would spend the space between the, hey, you're on avail, to you've been released from avail, like, panicked. And I remember thinking, like, damn it, that's not going to get better, so, like, magically over time?
No.
Yeah. And
mean,
she was like, no.
I always say pins are the devil. You know, pins, avails. I ignore them. You know, my agent says, you're in the mix and all this stuff. I smile. I say, that's very nice. Have a great day. And I go on with my day. It's a lie. It's a lie from the devil.
What I tell myself is like, well, you're working properly. But then it's also a lie because it's then to say that the ones you're not pinned for, you're also then making the assumption that you weren't working properly in those ones.
The auditions that we think we do great on are not always the ones we book. I've booked stuff that I was like, I don't think I did a good audition. So we're not the best assessors. And also it's just, what's working properly? I don't know. I've done crap auditions that resulted in jobs and wonderful auditions that didn't all the time. So I think it's really important to sort of take the sting out of this and recognize that if you are between jobs, and you don't know where your next audition is coming from, and it's been too long, congratulations, you're living the life of a professional actor. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
You can't take a job at the post office and go, what's with all these letters? What's going on?
Yeah, I love that. That's why I'm so passionate about the normalization of it, because I think there's this thing that happens of like really realizing like what the lifestyle really is. I got like 2 more emails this week of people who are moving away and moving on, and I'm in full support of that. I'm like, go live your best life.
That's valid,
1,000% valid. And so I'm really interested in being on the informational and normalizing edge of things so that can happen earlier when people are beginning the pursuit of this career to understand what it is.
Yeah.
Rather than possibly staying in it longer than they even want to because they feel they've invested so much time and God, what are they even going to do and who are they and what is it? It's just like a lot of years of lost energy and life because they weren't properly informed about what we're doing here.
Yeah. I used to have a practice. My friends would all laugh at me for this, but I used to quit the business twice a year mentally. What happens is we sometimes get in this sort of panicked death grip relationship with our careers. Or as I call it, we're in an abusive relationship with our careers.
Yes, that's real.
And when I get to that point, what I've trained myself to do is say, okay, let's mentally quit. Now, let's start looking into what else I would do. And I start researching it and going, oh, that's interesting. Oh, culinary school. What would that be like? And it shakes me off of that death grip. I don't call my agents and say I'm quitting. I don't throw out I used to say throw out my headshots. We don't have those anymore. But, when we catch ourselves feeling badly about the career we're in, to just go, okay, look, what if this is it? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Are you renewing your contract with this? This is what it is. It may not be any more than this. Do you sign on again?
Yeah. One of the things we've talked about on this podcast for years is a yoga philosophy when you're like in a pose and the yoga teacher will come around and say, all right, now I want you to pretend that you're stuck in this pose for the rest of your life. So what adjustments are you going to make mentally if this is it? And I think that sort of reminds me of what you just said of like, are you going to renew your contract? Because if this is going to be what it is, because it may be, is that okay with you?
Yep.
Are you in for it?
I think one of my keys to mental survival in this business has been continuing to assess and reassess realistically and honestly and go, okay, this works like this and this works like this. And I'm not going to lie, I get discouraged like everybody. I have moments when I'm like bored, depressed, don't know what to do with my day. I hate those days. But at this point, I have enough teaching and writing and other things that sort of keep me feeling like I'm engaged in the career.
Yeah, so that you're not just like trapped in your own neuroses cycle.
Right. Also having a cat. That's also good.
Yes,
yeah.
I recommend.
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed for myself that I've had with other friends is jealousy. When I have somebody have a win And my first reaction isn't like, oh, cool. Yeah, awesome, get it. But my reaction is like, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? Why do they seem like they book all the time? And here's the thing, because I know better, because I know, again, what you're saying of like, why do they book all the time is like the narrative I've given myself about their booking ratio. And then when I sit down with them, they're like, well, I booked a job in February and then I booked again in October. And in my mind, I'm like, well, you booked in February. It aired in April. So I'm like, check. And then you booked again in October and it aired in December. And so I'm like, you just can't stop, won't stop. And so in my mind, I know better. And so that's one of the flags for me that I need to, that my attachment to the career, that my relationship is bordering on abusive rather than collaborative and expressive and thoughtful.
The jealousy is a tough one. I have another weird thing, which is because I'm a big caretaker, I worry about people being jealous. I have like working guilt. So it's a weird thing.
I think that's common.
Yeah. I know so many phenomenally talented actors who I think are really far better than me. Who don't have my career, and I have a little guilt. I'm like, I'm not going to mention it. I don't want to make anybody feel bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough one. It's hard when you're plugging along, and somebody else seems to always book.
I love talking about booking guilt because I do think that's another thing that I think it can be oppressive. Also, I find can make other actors kind of also feel maybe even weirder when I don't tell them, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, I had that. Yeah, no, I was out of town for like 6 weeks working on that.
Like
thing.
I feel like I'm always in a hurry to let people know. Oh no, it's been
That's exactly what I do.
You know?
Yeah.
Somebody once said to me, "Oh man, if I had your career, I'd be content." I'm like, no, you really wouldn't. There's always something. I still don't have a New York stage career. It's my white whale. It's what I've always wanted. So there's always something else.
Another symptom that lets me know that I have gotten an unhealthy relationship is when I get an audition piece, I think, it's such a flag. The writing is terrible. I'm like, well, this writing is terrible. That's when I'm always like, pew, wee, wee, wee.
Yep.
Because maybe it is, but not my job. I do have the power and ability to say, you know what? I'm not vibing with this writing. I'm going to pass on this role.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times that we've started off with the person saying, oh, the writing is terrible. And as we got quiet and unfolded it and walked ourselves through it, they went, oh, this is actually pretty good. I'm like, yeah. You got set in the idea that the writing is terrible, and it's not. You know, and if it is, what's our job? Our job is to make it better.
Yeah,
not by changing words, by the way, not by rewriting.
No, don't rewrite. Don't be a jerk. To me, that's why it's a flag of an unhealthy relationship, is because I am now in a defensive position, justifying, before I've even begun working on it, why this is not worth my time. Right. It's not worth my energy. It's not worth my money.
And it's not my fault if my audition sucks because it's the writing.
Exactly. It's not my fault if I don't put the time and energy into this and making it great and getting excited about it because I really want to go to my friend's baby shower tonight.
Right.
And I can't because I have this audition due. And a lot of people get into that instead of thinking, okay, I have a baby shower tonight. It's one of my best friends. I have this audition. I'm not thrilled. I can't tell whether or not it's because I want to go do this other thing called life that I had planned tonight, or it's actually the piece. I can either turn down the audition. I can go to the baby shower for some of the time, not all of the time. I can go to the baby shower for all the time and then work it late into the night. Or I can call my agent and say, hey, I'm really excited about this audition. Could be a lie. It's fine. They don't need to know. And just say, I have my best friend's baby shower tonight. Will you call them and see when their real deadline is?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm not sure actors realize that that's a legitimate request that you can make. casting folks don't want a big flood of auditions at the very deadline. So they set an early deadline so that they'll have time to process through them. But if 1 or 2 actors need it the next day, they're usually amenable.
Yeah, I've never personally had a problem with it. And if there is a problem, it's because there's some casting situation happening that somebody dropped out or a part got suddenly written or whatever it is, right? And they need that spot and they need it filled fast. But I can also tell you the number of times they've been like, we're going to cast this by noon. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And then I don't hear. And I'm like, well, didn't get that one. And then a week later, they're like, Audrey, you're the selection. And I'm like, by noon.
100%.
Oh, so by noon the next Friday, not today, next week. Cool.
Noon of next February.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very funny. It's true. We put ourselves in this victim position a lot of like, oh no, what am I going to do? I've got this thing, and now they're trying to make me do. Nobody's trying to make you do anything, and you know. Ask for what you need, not in a demanding, obnoxious way, but if you really don't have the time, make the request. People do it all the time. It's not shocking. My motto is I'm going to do the best audition I'm able to do given my circumstances. So sometimes that means I'm going to hold the paper. There's this new thing where we're supposed to be completely off book because of self-tape. And sometimes I can't do that. And so I'm going to not worry about it and I'm not going to stress over it. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm just going to say, well, I'm just going to do it the way that I can and send it in. Call it done. Because my theory is they're never going to go, gosh, Michael was the perfect choice if only he hadn't held that paper. Here's the thing. I have observed that actors are forever in search of absolutes that don't exist.
I totally agree.
What we have to realize is when they say, well, what do casting directors want? I'm like, well, pick one. What do you mean? That's like saying, what do actors eat? Casting directors have different preferences. And if we're always pursuing this weird dynamic where we make ourselves so small and we're like, oh, I don't want to offend. I'm afraid. What if I do this? Is it okay if I coughed? Can I wear my reading glasses? It's like, just do it. Like one bad audition, you'll never be seen again. It's like, that's just not how it is. Some of the things that you hear are crazy.
They're crazy.
Like, including, by the way, you got to believe in yourself or you'll never have a career. I don't think that's true at all.
I so agree. And I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah.
One of the things you're talking about is artistic ownership.
Yes.
And
that's exactly that.
Exactly that, right? And that's the thing that I really point to and I talk a lot about on this podcast and with the actors that come onto this podcast who aren't at that yet, is that you start off being like, I don't know anything. Everybody tell me something because I really don't know anything.
Yeah.
But what actors I find do a lot is that we'll stay in that place a little too long where we actually do know stuff now, but we're going around still with this mentality that we had when we just started the industry and now we've been in it for 10 years.
Right.
And it's like, no, you know something now. And now is the time for you to say, I actually do know how to audition. I do know how to have 3 scenes and have them be all a little bit different so that there's a scene arc and then there's an audition arc. I do know how to make those choices. I do know how to bring myself to the role if that's something that I want to do or not if I don't want to. Because that to me is when you go into being a collaborator.
Exactly. Like I don't like us to come in like paupers begging for a break that we don't deserve. That's not, it's just not comfortable to be around. I mean, but anyone who knows me well will vouch for the fact that I do not have terrific self-esteem. I don't think I'm an incredible actor and I'm having a career anyway. And I want people to know that. I go through depression. I've got all kinds of stuff. I think of myself pretty small. But what I'm doing is buying into the fact that other people seem to think I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at a certain point, you can't ignore the evidence that you do what you do well. And I find so many actors make tests for themselves that don't exist. Like, what if I blow a line? Well, if you blow a line, you can do another take.
Right.
Or you can send it in. It's not like they come for you with a firing squad. So many people, when they book their first job, they go, what if I get fired? I'm like, you know how rare that is? That's an expensive, unusual undertaking, and it doesn't happen. Why are you re-auditioning yourself?
Right.
They went through this very, very meticulous process to choose you, and you're not even giving yourself the status and privilege of having been chosen.
But that's because it takes so long just to even get to the place where you're getting the auditions, then you get the job. And because there traditionally has been such a complete black hole about what the other side is actually doing. And that's
Yes.
part of the artistic ownership is once you understand what's happening here, and then you understand, man, I dare you to fire me. Like, you are going to have to call this girl up, and she is, God knows where she'll be here. She'll get here. But you're going to have to call her. She's going to have to get here. You're going to have to hold the day. You're going to it's a lot of work.
No,
She's not been fitted, it's a disaster.
I mean, you'd have to show up like naked and on drugs.
You, like,
get
literally. Yeah.
You know?
Literally. And probably even then. They don't want
Then
to.
they throw some wardrobe on you and give you some coffee.
That's exactly it. I mean, this is Hollywood. Like, what are we talking about?
Right, exactly. And it's not a matter of thinking you're wonderful or terrific. It's like, well, I know I'm an actor. I know I do this, so I don't have to keep convincing myself that I can do it.
I had a teacher who used to say, decide that this is it for you. Like, decide that this is it. And I remember thinking, like, oh, are there people who haven't decided that? Because I feel very fortunate, and that was always my given. There was nobody that ever thought, like, that I was going to get to a point and be like, yeah. And so I do think it's hard if you're not sure, if you're still testing the waters and thinking, like, does this suck? Does this maybe...
I mean, it does suck.
Yeah, because it does.
You got to sign on for it anyway.
Yeah. Does this suck a lot?
It's a wonderful, horrible profession. That's what I always call it. I love this job. I love this profession, and not just the work part. I love, as I say, being able to wear the name tag that says I'm a professional actor. I mean, it's great. But we have to know that when we put on that name tag, that includes unemployment. That includes a lot of mystery about what's going to happen next. That includes a lot of judgment from the outside world. I believe in low expectations. I've always had low expectations. My career has already exceeded what I expected because I didn't expect anything. I went into this thinking, well, I'll be a waiter the rest of my life. I find it all easier to manage when the bookings are, you're kidding. Wow, I get to go to work. And I don't think, as so many people do, oh, well, I'm on my way now. The next thing is around the corner. It's
That's
like, no. You get to go to work. Have a great time. Don't miss it.
Well, what that really is living in the moment. And I think we can just talk about that because that's really what I'm trying to get, like, hooked in this season with the space between the jobs is exactly that. A saying that we have on the podcast was enthusiasm high, expectations low. And it is very hard because you're also getting a lot of noise from people too. When you have both high highs and low lows. I had a really great guest star role last year that aired, and I had some friends who were like, this is going to do it, Audrey. Like, this is it.
I plug my ears. I go, la, 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 la,
and I was like, yeah, okay. And they were like, well, and they feel like, and because they know me not to be like a jaded person, but they're like, well, listen, I understand you, but I really think, and I was like, listen, it doesn't matter.
We'll see.
Like, that's why I'm like, whatever.
I mean, when I first started, every time I'd book like anything, a co-star, somebody would say, hey, maybe they'll have you back. And I'm like, well, maybe they will, but I'm working this week.
Right.
So that's what I'm celebrating. I like to celebrate what is and what I have and not be so much in the future. Yeah, the being in the moment thing is good. It's really good because you can so easily miss the joy of, I really believe in the joy of the audition.
Yeah.
Like, when you're auditioning, you're playing a role. You're doing the thing you love doing, and we miss that joy because we're trying to turn it into something that almost never happens. And so we're mentally exhausted and emotionally exhausting ourselves because of trying to crack a code that cannot be cracked, which is how do I book? I don't believe there's any answer to how do I book.
It's a slot machine. We always talk about it being a slot machine. We're like, ching.
Oh, it's a slot machine.
Ching, ching,
100%.
ching, 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 ching,
100%.
I do want to ask, specifically because you've identified yourself as somebody who isn't going around being like, I am such a great actor and I am the most successful actor in the world. My attitude about it all is always like, yalla, I love acting. Like, so I think a lot of people can easily fool themselves that because I work, that then that's the attitude that you have to adopt.
Right.
And I'm always telling them, I'm like, there are a lot of pessimistic and depressed and anxious people out there
Yes.
who have outstanding full careers that last forever.
Right.
And one thing that I want to ask you about, because I find it to be important for my own journey, is do you have any practices or any personal self-accountability to make sure that you nurture the joy of the audition, that you nurture the joy of the process, that you nurture the staying in the moment, staying present, not getting too obsessed about, what this will or won't do for you?
I was really, really bad at auditioning when I first started, and I hated it,
too.
and I was embarrassed, and I thought I was going to be thrown out as a fraud. I, over the years, have really analyzed that and worked on it, and I have a mantra, which is you're not getting the fucking job. I live by that.
Love that mantra.
Because it takes me off of the wrong path and puts me back on the right path, which is I'm an artist. I'm going to paint a little painting, and that's what I do. And also I can easily remember not having any auditions, no agent, no nothing. And so I want to keep the gratitude of going, hey, I've been invited to a professional audition. Wow. I really don't have my eye on booking. If there's any secret to my success, it's that. My eye is on how can I tell the truth in this scene? How do I want to honor this character? So I will say that I have been very successful at getting off of all that neurotic stuff.
I am so with you on that mantra. So if you're listening to this and you say to yourself, well, I have a teacher who says, whatever you do, you have to believe that you're going to get the role and fight that you're going to get the role and visualize you getting the role. And then you're hearing us say, you know what, just believe like the role's gone. It's not yours. It's done.
It's gone. Yeah.
That both are right, depending on
Again,
what works for you.
There's no rubber stamp magic trick. And I think what is important is to keep checking in with the experience you're having, because I know lots of people who get their hopes up and are constantly miserable and disappointed because they didn't get the job. And people who are, I'm especially kind of anti-positive thinking, no offense to your listeners,
No, I
but
agree.
the folks who are like, oh, if I picture myself on set and I say the job is mine, it's going to be mine. And then when they don't get it, they say, well, the universe has something else for me. Okay, well, that's convenient. But I don't want to leave it at you're not getting the fucking job, because I want to add, not because you're not talented, not because you're not experienced or don't have enough credits, just because of math.
Yes,
Most
math.
of the time, right.
Oh
Most
my
of the
God,
time
Michael, can I applaud you with math?
Right.
Because nobody talks about math in this damn business.
Yeah, it's a supply and demand question. It's
We have
just
a
math.
huge supply and
Yes.
demand discrepancy here.
Right, exactly.
And the
So-
math isn't in your favor.
Yes, that's all. And if you, again, like I love that you're talking about if you accept, well, that's the norm, I'm probably not getting it, then it makes it all like nothing stinks, you didn't fail, it's not bad, it's just the show business being what it is. Part of the equation is I'm not getting the job, but I love acting. So I don't want to miss this moment when I get to do my thing.
Yeah.
And if accepting the fact that you're probably not going to book it makes you not want to act, that's something to look at. It makes you go, oh, well, why bother?
That's real.
I'll just phone it in. I was up for Les Mis for years. They kept calling me in, like every 6 months they'd call me in for this fantastic part of Thénardier, which is like, it's just a
love
great
Thénardier.
part.
It's a great part.
And every 6 months they'd call me in. And at one point they said, we're sorry, we keep calling you in. We like you, we just haven't found a spot for you. And I said, please don't apologize. Every time that I'm in this room, I'm the only Thénardier here. And I said, you're not, and you're not, and I'm, for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
I am the only Thénardier.
Yeah.
It is and I'll play that part as many times as you like.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
I had a great time, because while I was there, I had the role for 3 minutes.
It makes me think too about put this on the table. I'm just trying to maybe let everyone consider to put this on the table, to be excited and interested in the pursuit of mastery over the pursuit of booking.
Yes.
That the pursuit of mastery is so delicious.
Yes.
And it's endless. And it's so cool. And it's so cool to feel like you're not quite there, and then to feel like, I touched a little. And that possibly can do this thing that you talked about, which is like, what is the experience that you're having
What's the
of
audition
this
experience?
career? Like, if we're auditioning mostly and working sometimes, Even the biggest stars, everyone, even the biggest stars. What is your experience?
Yeah. Have you ever heard the quote from Amy Poehler, treat your career like a bad boyfriend?
Oh my God, no, but I love it.
I can read
Yes.
it. This is just a partial quote
Great.
from Amy Poehler from her book, Yes, Please. Too often we are told to visualize what we want and cut out pictures of it and repeat it like a mantra over and over again. Books and magazines tell us to create vision boards. Late night commercials remind us that anything is possible. Positive affirmations are written on our tea bags. I am introducing a new idea. Try to care less. Practice ambivalence. Learn to let go of wanting it. Treat your career like a bad boyfriend. Here's the thing. Your career won't take care of you. It won't call you back or introduce you to its parents. Your career will openly flirt with other people while you are around. It will forget your birthday and wreck your car. Your career will blow you off if you call it too much. It's never going to leave its wife. Your career is fucking other people and everybody knows but you. Your career will never marry you. Now, before I extend this metaphor, let me make a distinction between career and creativity. Creativity is connected to your passion, that light inside you that drives you, that joy that comes when you do something you love, that small voice that tells you, I like this, do this again, you are good at it, keep going. That is the juicy stuff that lubricates our lives and helps us feel less alone in the world. Your creativity is not a bad boyfriend. It is a really warm, older Hispanic lady who has a beautiful laugh and loves to hug. If you are even a little bit nice to her, she will make you feel great and maybe cook you delicious food. This is the gold right here. You have to care about your work, but not about the result. You have to care about how good you are and how good you feel, but not about how good people think you are or how good people think you look.
That's so great. I just
Isn't
love
it
it.
good? I love it.
It's so good. It also just makes me think that your relationship with creativity is not something that then you have to make a career.
Correct.
And the discovery about whether or not you want your creative life to also be your professional life is something that everyone just needs to continually check in on.
Yeah.
Because it is a lifestyle. It is I always call it an act of generosity. I believe that being an actor is a huge give, despite the publicity around the profession.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so it's okay to have the relationship with the wonderful woman that's going to give you a hug and decide that the bad boyfriend is not worth your time and you're going to start seeing somebody else.
This summer I directed a show and it was all local non-union actors who had day jobs. So much fun and joy and talent, and they weren't making a career. Many of them were not making a career out of it. They were just doing it just for the joy, and boy, was that fun. You know, you'll never meet more dedicated actors than folks in like community theater or, you know, there are lots of ways to do this without enduring the agonies of the profession, if you call it agony, you know. I also think acting can become like a cult where people say, you can't leave.
Oh, God, no.
They'll find you. It's like, what? Another big mythology is that they shut the doors behind you and you're out for life and that nobody cares. Nobody's watching. You know, I mean, you could step out and try something else, come back. I mean, you know, it's like, well, I know some folks who have decided not to be professional actors anymore, even folks who've been quite successful.
Me too.
And they're pretty happy with their decision.
Yeah.
You know?
They're, in fact, incredibly happy with their
Right.
decision. And also, they're not judging me on my decision to stay in. And I think
I'm planning on dropping dead on stage.
Me
that's
too.
my plan. Yeah,
I
that's my
always
plan.
have been. I've been like, God, if I could just die on stage.
Maybe after the final curtain, so I don't upset people. But
That's right.
But wait, Michael. Wait. I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
This listener question is brought to you by Casting Networks. CastingNetworks.com/Audrey. Promo code Audrey60 for $60 off a premium annual membership. Audrey, are you using your own promo code to save $60 off of your own membership? Why, yes. Yes, I, in fact, am doing that because I love saving money. I love it. It's one of my most favorite things. So let's talk about casting networks. Let me just give everyone a little info. Casting networks has more high quality roles that are booked than any other casting service. And with a premium membership, you can unlock every tool you need to get noticed, land the audition, and book the job because I love booking, I love working, I love shooting, I love acting, I love booking, I love working, I love shooting, I love acting, I love booking, I love shooting, I love working, I love acting. I love it so much. A premium membership lets you unlock unlimited casting billboard submissions, unlimited photo, video, audio uploads. That means however many special skills you want to throw up there that there's proof of. You want to show people that you can lick your elbow and throw a little video up there? Great, it's included. Exclusive iOS app features. I love it. Listen, you got to have Casting Network's membership. Might as well get $60 off. You're welcome.
Hi, Audrey, you sweet baby angel woman. I'm calling from LA. Your podcast has really helped me level up drastically. So even though I'm in a pickle, it's a good pickle to be in. I'm a SAG actress with a manager, theatrical and commercial reps. I only have indie credits and I haven't booked through my reps yet. I audition for co-stars and guest stars on huge networks regularly, and I'm often brought in multiple times by the same casting directors. So in theory, things are good, right? So my question is this. How do you know when you're supposed to stay and when you're supposed to jump into the wind? My theatrical agent never replies to my emails. I don't need to be my agent's best friend, but I think basic human communication feels like an appropriate ask. I mean, they do get me out for huge network shows, but honestly, it's not in the genre I'm trained in. And I have notable awards and acknowledgments in another genre, and I'd love to go out for shows that better suit what I'm trained for. Part of me thinks that maybe changing my manager would be a push in the right direction, but my manager got me my theatrical, and my theatrical won't talk to me, so I can't discuss my pickle with my agent. I know I should be grateful. Like I said, it's a good pickle. But do I suck it up and stay with my reps because they're getting me a nobody auditions? And I don't really have the funds to build a better reel in the genre I'm trained for at the moment. And I'm scared my footage won't get me in the right doors at another agency. So what do I do, Mama Audrey? Do I just eat the pickle? I should eat the pickle.
What a pickle you're in, you little pickle. This is a really fantastic question, and I'm glad that you brought this up. Almost everybody that I am friends with feels that moving on was right when the time was right. I know, though, a handful of people who felt like oopsies, but usually not even oopsies, more like, it was too bad that didn't work out, and then this new path also isn't working out. I will say basic human communication, returning your calls, returning your emails, things like that. That is an important thing, especially if it's important to you. So the first thing that I would say is it's a little hard because you're talking about the genres that you're trained in and successful in versus the genres that you're less familiar with. And so that's a little hard for me to know what you're talking about. Just so you guys know, whenever you're cagey, I'm just like, porn? Are you talking about porn? I'm very successful, Audrey, in the genre of XXX rated content, but my agent keeps sending me out for multicam. So specificity can be helpful because you might be very successful in non-union independent films for which your agent is not making any money. And so your agent is not responding to your communication because you are still and currently not worth their time. However, if you are booking network guest stars in 1-hour drama and your agent keeps getting you auditions for network multicam shows and then not responding to your emails, then I would say now's the time to look for new representation. If you feel like it's a miracle that you're auditioning for the roles that you're auditioning for, then sure, I think perhaps some new representation in the management side might be nice.
What I would also maybe recommend is contacting your manager and saying, hey, we're getting these amazing auditions and opportunities from that agent that you got me with, which is so great, but they don't return any of my communication. I like when people respond to my emails. Will you just call them and let them know that? Or something? Because it makes me feel sad and insignificant when I am ignored. That's also a fine strategy, I would say. The search for fantastic representation is long and longer. But when you find great reps, it is outstandingly worth it, I have to say. So good luck. Go forth and prosper. I hope that was helpful. Speaking of outstanding reps, shout out to Rachel Fink Richardson, our Finky, my fantastic commercial and social media agent. She helped us with the sponsorship for this year's season. I've been with her for many a year, and I was told you'll never have to get another agent once you sign with them. And that person was right. If you want to listen to an amazing episode where I talk to a rep, listen to the episode with Rachel and her friend Jen. You will love it. But Rachel, I just love you, girl. I love you so much. And I'm so jelly of your family that they get to hang out with you all the time.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Before we get to our final questions, I want to see if there's anything that you have for actors in terms of the nuts and bolts of managing the financial waves.
The stress of not having money is not conducive to your career or your mental health. Don't wait. Go out and get a support job. Nothing is guaranteed. None of us are entitled to a job. And I know actors who are waiting around so they could be available for these jobs. It's much better for you to go ahead and get some support job so that the pressure isn't on you when you're auditioning. When people go, well, I got to pay my bills. It's like, well, you picked the wrong profession. Years ago, I heard a financial advisor say something like, if you can make an extra $50 in a week, make it. If you can make an extra $100 in a week, make it. It doesn't have to be a high-paying thing, just to soften the stress of that. I want to talk about one other thing, if I could.
Yeah,
that's not an answer to that. Is what I call actor vitamins. Very often we're like, oh, I need a job. Sometimes what you really need is what I call actor vitamins, which is this: invite some friends over and read a play. Go watch a classic movie and discuss it. Read a script, not you, Audrey, but, feed the artist's soul part.
Yes.
And I mean, again, I know that sounds very woo-woo, but it's not. It's really a practical thing.
Yes.
It's a practice, because you go, oh, I feel like an actor again. You can't wait till you get hired to feel like an actor. Oh my God, don't do that to yourself. So important.
I love it because it kind of touches again to the thing I asked about practice. What are your practices to nurture the joy? And to me, the idea of an artist vitamin is so great, because I just like to tell people that nurturing the passion, nurturing the enthusiasm is as much a part of the job as getting better at memorization maybe, or understanding story, or building relationships. And then just really quick nuts and bolts. Do you remember, if you do, the longest stretch you went without a job, between jobs?
Oh, I don't remember, but easily years.
Yeah.
I mean, my career got a very late start. I didn't really start to work with any consistency until I was in my late 30s, early 40s.
Super
So
common.
what was I doing until then? Being a professional actor, waiting tables, working for free. I always crack up when they go, oh, there's seasoned actor Michael Kostroff. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess 20 years or so, maybe,
You've been doing it. That's right.
Yeah, but yeah, so yes, long stretches.
Great. I'm asking because I want to normalize it again.
Amen.
I talk about mine as well. And have you had years where you didn't qualify for health insurance?
Back in the day, yeah. I mean, it's been a while now. Again, knock wood. I will always be grateful for that and never take it for granted, because I always have it in the back of my mind that I need to be ready to go back to a day job if I need to.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
But there were many years that I didn't qualify for health insurance. Many. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Many.
great. I just want people to know, especially when they're the stage, those first 10, 15 years
yeah.
of building a career, building their relationships. Like you might have a year where you book this amazing commercial and you're going to make X amount of dollars and you feel like, da, 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 this is my permanent normal.
Right.
And then you don't work for 3 years. And I just want everyone to know that's correct. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's not an escalator. It doesn't go in just
it's
one
not an
straight line.
escalator.
It's a zigzag.
It's a
you know?
pinball machine.
Oh my! Exactly. It is exactly a pinball machine. Here's the thing: the unpredictability and the unknown part of this is an asset as well as a deficit. You know what I
part of
mean?
the fun.
It's like you can't plan anything, right? But then you never know when on some random Thursday you're going to get some incredible call.
All the time.
I was in a dry spell and I was really, really bummed. And
You
it
were
had
in
been
a space between the jobs.
I was in a space between the jobs. Thank you. And I got a message on Facebook from this man I didn't know saying, "Would you like to sing at Carnegie Hall?" I'm like, "Oh, yes, I would." I'm like, from where did this come? I don't know. How did that happen?
Love
but
it.
I mean, I know that's not an occurrence that happens for everybody. But but the point of it really wasn't Carnegie Hall. The point of it was random, out of nowhere.
And that happens all the time. I mean,
Yes.
and the further along your
Yes.
your career goes, the more that's true because you've built relationships over time. And those relationships randomly will bear fruit that you didn't know you planted that tree.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, we planted this tree like 6 years ago and I've been growing it." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, awesome. Yeah, no, let's turn that into something. That sounds great, you know?"
Fruit.
Yeah. What fruit? I love fruit. Okay, great. So I have questions that I always ask every actor. So my first question is, do you have any social media that you would like people to follow you on? Do you want to spell your name for people so they know
Yes.
who you are?
I always have to look these up because I'm not very good at it.
I like
so
it.
my first name is Michael, Michael. My last name is Kostroff, which is Kostroff. Twitter handle is @TheRealKostroff. Also a Twitter account for my audition workshop, which is called Audition Psych 101. You can find out information about that at auditionpsych101.com. My Audition Psych is at Audition Psych on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm Michael_Kostroff. My books are Letters from Backstage, which is a story of my time on the road with the producers and Les Mis, which I finally booked.
Great.
There is a book version of Audition Psych 101, which is my workshop. And now the Stage Actor's Handbook.
Okay, great. My next, so I have like a series of questions. My next question is, do you have any questions for me? You do not have to.
Do you have that feeling of like sending out your podcast and sending it into the ether and not having a sense of if people are listening or what they're getting out of it, or do you get enough feedback that it encourages you?
I think I get enough feedback, but I will say in the beginning when I wasn't getting enough feedback, it wasn't the reason I was doing it. I actually didn't know it would become what it became. My husband says that he did, but I didn't. Again, no expectations. I was just at a point in my career I was very angry about the lack of information. And I had spent a few years being angry, not understanding why I had to keep being like surprised by stuff. Like why did I have to get surprised by what my checks look like? And why did I have to get surprised by this level and surprised by that information? Because I would continually talk to other people who would tell me said surprise as though it was normal information.
And you're like, what?
Yeah, and I've continually been like, what? That's a thing? And it still happens to me. And I just am so passionate about people understanding what we're doing here. What does the job really look like? And then my hope is that in so doing, I help to soften and give permission to those that decide they don't want to make it their job, permission to not make it their job. And those that do want to make it their job, I strengthen with knowledge the community that does still want to make it their job.
That's cool.
You're cool, Michael. Okay, so what is the best part about the business for you?
I love our community. I love our tribe. I can't tell you how strongly I feel about that. I'll just share that I've been estranged from my family for most of my life. This is my family. I love show folk. And I love the adventure of stepping into different characters and the way they think, and I like the detective work and the psychology around that. But I just love to put on a costume and sing a song and do a thing, you know?
Me too.
I mean,
We're nerds. I don't know. We're just nerds. What is the hardest part about the business for you?
I get nervous about planning anything. And I think I get a little too much the captive of it sometimes. I think that's the hardest thing about the business is just the unknown part.
What do you wish someone had taught you or managed to get you to understand when you were just a wee babe entering this business for the first time?
I wish somebody had told me to just plunge in because I think I spent all of my 20s saying, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be an actor. And I didn't instead of just going ahead and auditioning for stuff and doing it.
What does success look like to you now?
For me, the success is if I get to continue playing a wide variety of roles. That's amazing. The variety of my career is the treasure of it. You know, that I can go from doing Hairspray to doing, you know, Law and Order SVU, and they're so different. And so success is if I can get to continue that. There are things that I have not achieved that I would like. I do want to have a New York stage career. I'd like to have the kind of career where I'm going on location, like to Barcelona or something. You know, when I go on location, it's Detroit. You know, I filmed in Detroit. I filmed in Cleveland. It's like,
Mine's always back home in New Mexico. I'm always like,
why am I not on the film that's, sorry, you're going to have to go to Hawaii for a month. It's like, yeah. I once had one that took me to Puerto Rico, and it was just like a day. And I was like, can I be a PA? Is there anything I can do to stay here?
All right, last question is mildly interesting. So mildly interesting can be anything you read, you saw, you heard, you listened to, anything you recommend. I will start with mine, and then you can have some time to think about what yours is. Okay, everybody. I have a little purse packet that I made. Now, it's not a purse packet. It's just like a bring along with you packet. From my years of doing publicity, you have to have like a little envelope of like essentials. I've got Band-Aids. I've got alcohol wipes. I've got safety pins. I've got bobby pins. I've got lash glue, little lash glues. I've got a little individual little eye drop little thing in there. I've got lens wipes. I've got deodorant wipes. I've got shout wipes. So I'm like the hero no matter where I go. Everyone's like, tore my skirt. And I'm like, I've got something for you.
That's brilliant.
If you want to build relationships, be an asset, and always feel like you've got whatever you need to go, build yourself just a little, it's just a little sandwich, and not like those little snack, little bags. And throw what you need in there and take it wherever you go. That's my recommendation.
God, I love it. Mildly interesting. A short-lived, one-season British series that I think a lot of people missed called Years and Years that I think is genius. It's genius. I just love it.
Years and Years. I'm going to watch it. I'm always looking for a new show.
Oh, I have another question for you.
Okay, yeah.
If you could be on any show right now, what would it be?
Oh, I with all of my heart want to be on a Ron Moore show. Okay, so Ron Moore is, he got started doing Star Trek, and then he did Battlestar Galactica, the revamp, and then he did Outlander, and now he's doing For All Mankind. His shows are very varied in tone, but he's got a lot of hope, a lot of love. The women roles are outstanding.
Very good. Mine is. I have one show, and I know what.
Yes, tell me.
I know what I want to play.
What is it?
It's Barry, and I want to play a competing acting teacher who has a rivalry with Henry Winkler. That's.
Oh my God! It's so good.
I want that so bad. It's not going to happen, but I mean, because I don't know.
Michael, but I want it for you.
I want
so
that
badly.
so bad. It would be so much stupid fun.
Did you watch his roundtable with Jim Carrey and?
No, I'm going to watch this.
Oh, okay. I'll email it to you.
Please do. Don't forget.
It's this I won't. It's this comedy roundtable of comedy actors, and everyone's like talking about all these things. And Henry Winkler, bless his soul, every time anyone says anything, he's like, I just think you have to really just know, like, it's all a gift.
Yeah.
And he's not saying it to bypass anyone. He just really has been in it, and it is a gift, and he just approaches it with that love and blessing. And you two would have a rip-roaring
That's what
time.
I want to do. I want to play that. I want to play that. I want to play a bad acting teacher on Barry.
Well, Michael, this has just been a blast. I knew that it would be. I don't have acting teachers on the podcast really anymore, and I know that you are so much more than that, but I did want to say I only hear fantastic things about you and your work as a creative assistant professional helping other actors become professional artists. And I'm certain that is because of your experience in the career and the humility that comes along with that kind of experience and the passion that you have. So when I got your email to come on, I was an immediate, easy yes. And I'm so glad that you came on to share everything and have this great discussion.
Thanks for having me. You're a delight to talk to. I would do this with you every week if I could.
Okay, very good. Let's do it. Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, the strike, ? With Liz Ho. Is there going to be a writer's strike? Probably. Is there going to be other strikes? It's possible. Is the whole industry going to shut down this summer? Maybe. Woohoo! We'll see what happens. This episode will air Monday, March 20th, the first day of spring. My husband's birthday, still so handsome. And the first day of the negotiations between the WGA and the AMPTP. If you don't know what that means, next week's episode is for you. Will it be the first day of the strike as well? Maybe. We'll find out next week. I'm so excited to see what my future holds. Thanks so much to Michael. Michael, you're so great. I feel like we're like little actor nerdy soulmates. This was a fantastic time. Thank you so much. This episode was mixed and mastered by Thomas Hank Snodgrass. Produced by Jesse Lumen, my husband, still so handsome. He gets older and gets better looking. Fuck that guy. This episode is edited by Holly Mayer. That's Holly. Holly girl. What's up, girl? Show music by Ari De Niro. Theme song by Alok Mehta and 108 Hill. And as always, don't forget your towel. Don't forget that towel. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Please don't forget your towel. Extra shout out to Casting Networks for sponsoring castingnetworks.com/Audrey. Text it. Text your friends. Promo code Audrey60, AUDREY 60 for $60 off a premium annual membership. I love it when you let me know what you did with your $60 that you saved. It warms my heart. Last year, we got some photos of some sweet kicks that people ordered. We got some incredible pictures of people out to dinner. Thank you for paying for this food. Generous Casting Networks discount. People who bought a really cute jacket off of Amazon, I'm here to say. So if you save your $60 and you spend that somewhere else, just take a little photograph on your phone, your cellular device, and tag me. Post and tag. I love a post and tag. Castingnetworks.com/Audrey. Promo code Audrey60.